this is what the way I concluded it. I made it concise because...
You felt that you've said enough, anyway. Okay. Let me go to chapter 2, page 29, in fact.
Yes.
The second paragraph of page 29.
Yeah.
Could you please read the first sentence?
The fictional creations of Soltello and Telegraph are mostly about male characters whose stories require male readership.
Yes, excuse me. Could you please explain that sentence to me? Why do they require male readership?
Well, if you take the very subjective narrative construction of Telegraph and Soltello's novels, you find that almost usually there is a male reader, a male protagonist, telling us about himself using the I. Or there is Soltello himself or Telegraph telling us about a male character. So it is a kind of a male collusion of men against women. So I think because of this lack of objectivity, because of this self-centeredness on part of the male character and the male creator, the novels here require male readership.
So you want to tell me that the female reader wouldn't really get it, wouldn't understand it, wouldn't maybe engage?
There is a critic who said that, well, reading Soltello's novel, this is Gloria Cronin from Brigham University, she said that reading Soltello's novels, we find that even the female character, the female reader would develop a kind of an intimacy with the male protagonist. She would hate some female characters with him. She would ridicule some female characters with him. And this is against women's psychology. This is against women's inclination.
Well, anyway, my objection is to the way it's put. It looks very much like a fact. So you might want to maybe, like rephrase and say it's, you can add some of that stuff.
Well,
although you already said it in the last chapter that it's more or less the self-centered.
The rest of the chapters
explain, but okay. But for example, have you heard of Margaret Atwood, the novelist? She's a Canadian novelist, and most of her novels speak to females, but still lots of males read it and enjoy it, really. It depends really on the angle of the writer.
That's right, and depends on the writer himself. Whether
what kind of narrative structure
he is, yes, applying, and whether she is objective or not.
Yeah. Okay. Could you please look at page 41?
Yes.
The second paragraph, and yes, you have here the second paragraph, line number 2. Could you please read it thematically?
Yeah, it begins with in fact, or...
Well, no, the second paragraph, many critics consider...
Yes, that's right. Thematically, the book deals with the transformation of the American Jewish community from immigrant, proletarian poverty to middle-class suburban comfort, which resulted in a lot of ambivalence concerning their ethnic ideology.
Could you please, elaborate a little bit on this ambivalence concerning the identity, especially in that novel? I haven't read the novel, but clearly it's a wonderful novel, and it shows this really tension of the identity.
And it was turned into a movie by Columbus. The star was Richard Benjamin. Well,
when was the movie made? Because the novel is old, I know. When was the movie made?
Well, it was 1969.
It's also an old movie.
1969. Actually, I'm a fan of Turner Classic Movies, a satellite channel.
Well.
I'm following it all the time. So, well, if we are going to speak about the ambivalence.
Yeah, especially in this novel, because I would guess that the ambivalence about the Jewish identity here would be different probably from the ambivalence in Portnoy's complaint.
That's right.
So please correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, if you take Joseph, his personality, the way he thinks about his aunt, and what she preserved of the Jewish heritage that he doesn't like, you will know a lot about that ambivalence. He himself is a non-conformist Jewish protagonist, and this appears when he talks with his future mother-in-law. She asks him whether he is Orthodox or a conservative Jew, and he doesn't know how to answer. So there is a lot of ambivalence towards his Jewishness. Actually, he is, just like what William Bidden says, he is kept in a limbo between his past and present. He cannot decide. He cannot love his mother-in-law or his aunt, because one of them is a member of the Hadassah organization. It is a women's Jewish Zionist organization in America. And his aunt, whose main concern in life is to keep her house clean and feed her sons and daughters. So there is a lot of ambivalence here. And at the same time, he is seeking societal ascendancy through his relationship with Brenda, and she is the personification of his dreams. So there is a lot of ambivalence. He is not conformist. He is not a real Jew. Yet at the same time, he is, in a way, marrying a Jewish girl who is quite different from his cousin, for example, Doris, in the novel. So there is a lot of ambivalence here. He wants to achieve societal ascendancy. At the same time, he cannot bind himself to the ethnicity of the Jew. He is not
because they clearly clash, especially with this, suburban new comfort of the, the mother-in-law or the girlfriend family. Okay, thank you. Could you please look at page 50?
Yes.
The block quotation, the first block quotation. It's very interesting, and I was wondering if this dream, or whatever it represents, has anything to do with the very famous black-Jewish relation.
Well, the relationship between the blacks and Jews and is very peculiar. Very peculiar, very interesting. But it elaborates something. If we look more closer to the quotation here, we find that the only crew member was the black boy. Yet, who was the leader? So again, non-Jews, blacks, Gentiles. By the way, the word Gentiles means has connotations that it's related to paganism. So the blacks, non-Jews, women, all these are inferior to the Jewish male protagonists. That's the way he thinks about it. So this dream here allegorizes his peers. Brenda is the emblem and the symbol of his dreams for affluence. And he is afraid to lose her as the emblem of that dream. And that's why this dream is very interesting, because it allegorizes his peers.
But what about the negress who starts, throwing flowers at him? And does it have any connotation?
Yes, of course. If we go to Portnoy's complaint, the black woman whom Portnoy's mother was serving with a glass plate not to contaminate the plate itself, and she. Now again, we have the sexuality understanding in the mind of the American Jewish protagonist. Sex, slovenliness, and the non-Jewish ethnicity are three things that makes him think of himself as superior to the non-Jews and blacks and all the other nations, which they call Goyish or Goyim. And that's why he is always. So whether the nigger here, I'm sorry to say it, whether the nigger here is a black woman or a black boy, again, there is that sense of superiority to them as a Goyish, as a Goy Kadush, which means holy people.
So it's not only against women, but against all non-Jews.
All non-Jews.
So this feeling of misanthropy is against.
That's right. I read in the something here in the Bible, the Old Testament, and it tells about the way Jews think of the other people, Gentiles, or the non-Jews. They call them Goy, and the plural form is Goyim. And the word Goy here means nation. and the Lord God of Israel, just like the Old Testament said that He would make this goy a holy goy, or goy kadush, which means a holy nation, not like the others because they are big and evil and they are inferior.
Yeah, that's that connotation. Okay, so I put this, relationship black Jewish is interesting.
Well, I think it's very interesting, and I thought of it.
Especially with,
yes,
it's a woman also, so it's really the double thing. It's woman and black.
That's it, and that's why I think of elaborating that idea more.
You could have also used the example, I think this is very famous, if you said you're hooked on movies. Have you seen Independence Day?
Yes, I didn't see it, but I know the story.
Yeah, because again it's a Jew and a black, and actually they both save the world, but actually it's the Jew who leads the whole process of saving the world from destruction. So you reminded me of that. Okay, thank you, Ahmed. Could you please look at page 82? You sort of, in one of your answers, you sort of hinted to that, but I was wondering, look at the quote, the block quotation on page 82.
Yes.
Could you please read the first line after it?
After the quotation?
Yes, please.